turning point was I wanted to shoot 100 grey francolins. I crossed that number by a good 17 figure. Just before sleeping, I was reflecting, wow, what a great day I've had. I've got this. And then suddenly there was a depression. What have I attained? How is this useful for anyone other than my that ego satisfaction? So that's when I decided that that's it. I'm not going to touch the gun. The animals were fast disappearing because of incessant hunting that was taking place. Now I am trying my level best to get Pakistan to advocate and champion the cause to make snow leopard the global symbol climate change animal.
Hello and welcome to Dawn News. My guest today is a former wildlife hunter turned and internationally acclaimed Pakistani photographer. He's a son of a former president of Pakistan. He dabbled into politics himself, became a senator, and then left all that to document Pakistan's rich wildlife heritage. He has, to his credit, hundreds of captivating images that showcase Pakistan's rich wildlife heritage. He went on to establish and manage a wildlife sanctuary in his home district of Dera Ghazi Khan in Pakistan. It has earned him the distinction of being recognized as Pakistan's wildlife ambassador. My guest is Sardar Jamal Leghari. Thank you for joining us on Dawn News. I want to start this conversation by asking you, what happened? Why did you leave the world of politics to go into wilderness and look out for these rare species and document them?
Thank you, Shahzeb. Well, what happened and why I left politics? I have still not really left politics. I've got a very close rapport and communication with the people. I used to be an avid hunter, as you very rightfully mentioned. I left all that because I had had enough of that. And I decided to contribute to what I had taken off from the habitats in the form of, you can't imagine the kind of hunting I did at one time. It was not for the Facebook or for any other thing, but for my own self thing that I have to cross a certain number. For my own thing that I'm a really good shot as far as the partridge and the waterfowl were concerned. I decided to then contribute, and how I started doing that. I had Pakistan's largest aviaries of pheasants, peafowl, then I got into waterfowl. I started breeding them, raising them, and that built that empathy for them. And when that empathy built, then I decided that they are in aviaries, they are in small pens. They need to be released on larger areas. They also require the same kind of freedom that we aspire.
I'm trying to pin down how that shift happened. You going from an avid hunter to a conservationist, developing this apathy. Was there an incident? Was there a turning point? Something, a realization that happened to you?
The turning point was I wanted to shoot 100 grey francolins, or commonly known as partridges in Pakistan, in a day. I crossed that number by a good 17 figure. So I shot 117 that year. They were all flying partridges. So when I crossed that number, that particular night, just before sleeping, I was reflecting, wow, what a great day I've had. I've got this. And then suddenly there was a depression. What have I attained? I mean, how is this useful for anyone other than my that ego satisfaction? So that's when I decided that that's it. I'm not going to touch the gun. I'm not going to be hunting or shooting. And that's when I stopped hunting, and then I decided to start breeding them. I took
So,
upon
so,
that as a
so
challenge.
this, so nobody made you realize this was a self-realization.
Absolutely, sir.
It came from within.
Absolutely, sir.
Okay. So that shift happens, and then you commit yourself to preserving wildlife.
And breeding. When I
And
started reading them, that is what built that empathy and love for those small little hatchlings when they came out of those eggs. When the eggs pipped, noted down the gestation period of each and every game bird species. Then I got into the more colorful and the beautiful species like the pheasants. Then I started importing them from Holland and from other countries.
so is this
And
how
that's
your wildlife sanctuary came into existence?
so those were the aviaries. When the aviaries were really full, then I decided to release some of those in my wildlife sanctuary. I also bought a lot of grey francolins to start with from Sindh area, where they have got this practice. They sell the grey francolins, they catch off these big vaderas and landlords game reserves. They steal them, they catch them, and then they sell them for meat, for eating. But I did not go for that. I bought them and then came and released them in my on my farmland, which I could have used and made millions of rupees from them by growing crops. But I totally dedicated that tract of land, which was about 500 acres, for this particular purpose, that I will have them raised over there. And I then broadcasted the message to the community through the mosques that they are my children that I am giving and handing over to you. So please protect them. Do not trap them. Do not shoot them. Do not kill them. And thank God they regarded my message. And it happens to be right now one of the most vibrant, one of the most flourishing wildlife sanctuaries, where more than 10 species of owls have also started coming and residing over there in winters.
But you are not just breeding and looking after wildlife. You are actively traveling all over Pakistan to take pictures. Can you tell me about some of the remotest places you've been and the species you have discovered?
Absolutely, sir. I have been to the northern areas. I have been to those valleys and nalas in the Khunjarab National Park, where I believe hardly anyone has been to, like the Karchanai Nala in Khunjarab. It's one of the most treacherous treks over there. We went for a 5-day trek over there to find the rarest of them all, the Marco Polo sheep. Very few people even know that Marco Polo sheep, we have some Marco Polo sheep. And I have presented you with some of that rare footage in the form of the still photographs. So I was able to get those. Then, by stroke of good fortune, on the 8th of July 2021, I was able to find the rarest again, the ghost of the karakorums, or the ghost of the mountains, the snow leopard. I happened to go with my family. I took 2-3 days off from them, and I just went with my big camera lenses and my Nikon gear. And lo behold, we see a carcass of a hunted Himalayan ibex lying there.
That shows that there is no leopard in the area.
Absolutely, because when you see a carcass of a ibex, it could either be the doings of a snow leopard, sir, or it could be the Himalayan grey wolves in the vicinity. So with me were the experts on the snow leopard who were with me, who were accompanying me on that particular trip. They told me that we cannot stop here close to the carcass because the habit of the snow leopard is that it comes and devours its hunt either just before dusk or after dawn. You can spot it while it's eating it. So we decided to go right up to the top of the Khunjara up top.
So we're talking about you being almost on the border with China, right?
So right. Well, the border is close to the top, but then we had to come down to about 12,500 feet. The top is about 15,500 to 16,000 feet. So just before sunset, when we came there in our vehicle, I was totally ready with my gear, and lo and behold, right there it was as they had pointed out. The snow leopard was busy eating the ibex that. Now, the good thing about the snow leopard is that the snow leopard never eats anyone else's meal. It hunts and it eats its own thing. It's got that character trait in it, which is very peculiar. That's why I'm in love with that.
You've taken some amazing pictures. I wanted to ask you, from what I know from my travels in Gilgit-Baltistan and having met people there, am I right in thinking that the conservation of snow leopard is actually a success story, and that's through trophy hunting?
Absolutely, sir. Trophy hunting, gets the community together and makes them understand the importance of conservation of certain species. Like in that particular area, the communities are KVO. KVO is the community that was the first established community about 25 years back. Mr. Shakil Durrani, and there were some others, Mr. Ashik Ahmad Khan, and before that, my father-in-law, Major Sardar Amanullah Khan, who was the main force behind that idea of involving the communities. And they realized that because the animals were fast disappearing because of incessant hunting that was taking place. So when that idea was introduced, and the communities also realized that they are being deprived of all those beautiful animals, that they have to protect them.
Right.
When you protect those animals, the community is a very poor community. They have their small priorities and the small needs which cannot be fulfilled by the government. So when you protect those particular species, the ones that are really old and feeble, but the ones that have these huge long horns, if they are shot for a certain price, 80% of that trophy amount goes to the community, 20% goes to the wildlife department. That invigorates a healthier gene, because the younger males, when they will copulate with the females, they will give rise to a much stronger gene and a much healthier progeny.
Are you referring to maror, which is a kind of an ibex?
I am referring to the Himalayan ibexes in this particular case.
Okay, so I want to ask you about maror because not because it is rare and
it's a national animal.
It is our national animal, and also because I don't know if this is true, but it is also the symbol of our premier intelligence agency, the ISI. I don't know if they own it, but it is known as a very reclusive animal, almost like spies. You can't. It sees you, but you can't find it. Tell me about maror. How are we trying to preserve it?
In Balochistan, we have had some gentlemen, for example, Mr. Tareen and Mr. Jogizais. They have done enormous efforts in the conservation and preservation of marors, and for the same awareness, because they were being shot out. And then they realized they got their whole tribes and the sub-tribes together and were able to forge consensus and unity, and through again the community the community's involvement. You see, you have to have the people involved in any and everything. Other than that, if you just ostracize them and have dictatorial tendencies and try to enforce those particular things, they will never be successful models. Now, the snow leopard is thriving on all of these.
Right.
Because the more the ibexes, the more the markhors, the greater the population of snow leopard would be, because the snow leopard female gives birth to more than 6 to 8, cubs in a litter. It's like a cat. And then the male comes after them, because the male wants to again mate with the female, and the female is there protecting them. So there is this tug of war going on. Then the golden eagle swoops from the top and just lifts the cub off. So it's very difficult for the snow leopard mom to be saving a thing. So whatever is left is 2 or at most 1. But they have to survive. Now, the ecosystem has to continue. So for the ecosystem to continue, it's important for the snow leopard mom to be feeding the cubs on either the ibexes or the markhors. So these people, these communities have to protect their yaks, which are there. They have to protect their sheep, their goats, their cows. So in that protection, the snow leopard becomes vulnerable. Now I am trying my level best to get Pakistan to advocate and champion the cause to make snow leopard the global symbol climate change animal. I've got the G-SLEP countries on board. I am also Global Snow Leopard Ecosystem Protection Program's global emissary. I've been able to forge unity and get all the 12 countries, China, India, Mongolia, Nepal, Bhutan, Kyrgyzstan, Kazakhstan, Russia, Azerbaijan, Turkmenistan, Tajikistan, all of them together, so that Pakistan is able to champion that cause. And our Prime Minister of Pakistan will soon be inviting the heads of the state of all these 12 countries to Pakistan.
It's great to hear all these efforts, and it sounds like it's not all doom and gloom. Some of these projects are working and delivering. I wanted to ask you, you mentioned Astor area in Gilgit-Baltistan. I wanted to ask you about Deosai, because I saw those pictures of cute, cuddly
Himalayan brown bear.
And there's one picture with a whole family. How did you manage to do that? Because I've been to Deosai, obviously, and I've never seen brown bear, because again, it is very reclusive and it goes into altitude. How did you manage that, and how are we doing in protecting brown bears?
Mr. Shahzeb, I would request you, literally on bended knees, to please take some time out in early July, and please be my guest, and we'll both go together, and I will fulfill your dream. Because seeing that cuddly teddy bear close by is an experience by itself. So I had to spend a good 5 to 6 days. I had to take time out. I had to go to the core zone. I've got a good rapport with the wildlife department people. They're kind enough to take me to the core zone. Over there, we have got these range finders, these binoculars, these thermal binoculars, through which we have to pan the area for quite some time. And then there are these experts. There is one gentleman I would really like to pay tribute to. His name is Mehdi Satpara. That guy has been there for the last 20-25 years. He's a short guy. He's got nimble feet, and he knows the area at the back of his palm. So this guy always helps me in spotting them. And then the bear has a very keen sense of smell. It doesn't have a very good eyesight to boast, but it's got a great keen sense of smell. So we have to be very careful. The wind keeps on changing direction over there. We have to be very careful and be cognizant of the changing wind. And we then when after we have spotted it, then we have to be careful of the wind, and then we try to get as close to it as it's possible. And that's how I was able to get close to those three bears, that family portrait that you see. That family portrait, by the way, has been plastered on all the panaflexes greeting the visitors that come to their side.
Wow. So, do we know how many bears are there? Is there a survey? Are we keeping account?
Yes, there has been a survey. The last census that was done is of 75 to 80 bears, sir.
Okay. So we are running out of time. My final question to you. You talked about some amazing species that Pakistan is home to. We talked about maror, we talked about snow leopard and brown bear. If I ask,
And ibexes.
and ibexes, if
And
I
the Himalayan grey wolves we have the beautiful Himalayan snowcock, we have the Tibetan snowcock people don't know about. I've given you some photographs of those. We have got the marble teal breeding in the Thal desert of Muzaffargarh. On the 1st of June, I've given you a picture of that. We have got the lovely musk deer. We have got the monal pheasants. We have got the western tragopan pheasants. I still haven't done that, but I would love to do that. I am embarking on a mission this winter to go for that. So yes, we have got the black bear also. So we have got lots of species. It's just for Pakistan to open its eyes and to realize and to cherish and to respect and to worship them literally.
So the question I was going to ask is, people who are obsessed with other things like power politics and corporate sector and making money and destroying our resources and our planet and fossil fuels, when you talk to them, as I have often during my time as a journalist, they often ask me a very basic question. Why does it matter if one or two species become extinct? Why do we have to put so much time and effort in trying to save something remotely? What would you say to them?
Yes, sir. The point is that we, the humans, have invaded on the habitat of the wildlife. We are making these different housing schemes and different roads and felling of the trees and cutting of the trees. And look what Karachi is suffering with. Look what Multan and Lahore is suffering with. Smog, deaths, diseases, pollution. That's the result. When you start destroying the habitat, when you do not take care of the fuel emissions, when you do not cater for the basic hygiene, this is what's going to happen.
So basically, sooner or later, it will come back to haunt us. I mean, there is no escape. Momentarily, corporations can make profit, businessmen can make tons of money, but sooner or later, it calls into question our own survival. Jamal Khan Leghari sir, thank you so much for joining us on Dawn News. Really a pleasure talking to you, looking at some of the images that you have shot. I hope this encourages people to look at Pakistan through the eyes of our wildlife diversity and what we have to offer. It's a pleasure talking to you.
I'm honored, sir. Thank you very much for the time and giving me some time to talk my heart out. Thank you.